Hello, everyone. This is Aditya Mehta, and you are listening to podcast on personality development, where we dive into the conversations with the experts to develop our skills and, in the process, develop ourselves both in personal and professional life. In today's episode, we are going to talk about leveraging your network. Whether you are a college student or an influential leader, we all need to network. But how can we use the best of the network we already have? To guide us with that, we have a special expert with us who is an author of the book The Power of Networking. Who better to guide us than him, right? So, people, grab your book and a pen and get ready to take some notes and listen to this amazing intro music till the time I'll get Michael Morgan on this show. Hello and welcome back to podcast on personality development. And with me in this episode, we have Michael Morgan, an author and a motivational speaker. And he's here to guide us how can we leverage our networks, right? So, hey, Michael, what's up? How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast today.
The pleasure is all mine, and the pleasure is of the listeners who are listening to this because this is a very unique topic, I must say that. And you have written an entire book on that. So I'm really excited to talk to you, and I'm really excited to get some great insights from you on this topic. So, welcome to the show, Michael. And although what I gave was a very short and crisp introduction of yours, I would love to give you this opportunity to introduce yourself briefly to the listeners of this show.
Yes, absolutely. So my name is Michael Morgan. I have a vast amount of career experiences. I've had the opportunity to work for JP Morgan Chase, Amazon, Chevron, Walmart. So I've worked for some of the biggest companies in the world across oil and gas, financial services, technology, retail. I've had the opportunity to live all over the United States for different opportunities. I went to Penn State University as an undergrad. I went to Carnegie Mellon University for my MBA. I'm currently working for a cybersecurity startup in a senior leadership role. So I'm happy to be here today and share how I've been able to build and develop my network and how it's not only impacted my professional career, but also my personal life. And as it was alluded to, I've written a book recently called The Power of Networking. So please be on the lookout for that book. It's available on Amazon. The audiobook is available, the ebook is available, as well as the paperback. But I'm excited to share my knowledge and tutelage with all of you.
That's wonderfully said, Michael. I really appreciate you sharing about your book as well. Audience, don't worry about it. I'm going to mention each and every link in the description. So you are just a click away. Okay. So don't worry about it. However, getting back to you, Michael, diving straight into the topic about leveraging your network. See, first of all, my very first and very curious question, I would say, is how did you thought of writing a book on a very unique topic like this, like leveraging your network? So, the power of networking. I'm sorry. What was the motivation around it? If that you could answer first.
Yeah, that's absolutely. So over the course of my career, I've had a lot of people reach out to me for guidance, for mentorship, whether it's people directly within my network or they've connected me, people within my network have connected me with someone in their network, or even strangers have reached out to me through LinkedIn and asked me for knowledge, tutelage, advice. And one of the key pieces of advice that I always give people is it's not always what you know, it's who you know. So having the right connections and the right network can help get your foot in the door at different companies. If you have certain companies that you're interested in pursuing, having the right support system and knowing the people within the company can help you excel in your role and complete tasks. No one knows everything. I don't know everything. I'm not perfect. But if you have the right connections within your company, it can help you navigate and either learn how to do certain tasks or uh, identify where you can find the information so that you can move forward. And even to the next step where when you are ready to excel in your career and take that next step and you're seeking for a promotion, you're seeking for a people manager role, if you're not able to network vertically to your senior leadership, to your manager, to your skip level manager, to other senior leaders within the organization, if people aren't aware of who you are, what you're doing, what value you're bringing to the company, it's like there's no way opportunity for you to move up. And that's why I said it's not always what you know, it's who you know. You have to build the right connections within a company to excel in a role. Anytime that people reach out to me for advice, uh, I love to help people and I want to see other people excel and reach their goals. I know that I wouldn't be where I am today if other people hadn't supported me and provided me with guidance and knowledge and tutelage. So now I want to pass it forward. But the core of being able to be successful in any career, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're working in a corporate office, uh, whatever your path is, if you don't have that support system and the right connections and the network of the right people, it will be a detriment to your career.
Right. That's very well said, Michael. The things which you said about, in a company where you have to have those networks to get the task done, and more importantly, to have a good network vertically with your managers and senior leadership. I believe that's somewhere where I relate to it as well, because I did create an episode based on how to climb workplace ladders. And in that, I have mentioned that about creating a network with the senior leadership. However, as you were mentioning about creating that network with the senior leadership, many people are nervous even talking to them, even asking them doubts. Okay, even while going to them, okay, it feels like it feels to them that they are getting a blood pressure somehow, and it's hiked up. So, uh, you know, actually doing that, okay, with the senior leadership, going and actually talking to them is really difficult for some people out there, and especially the person who is new into the industry, who is new into the corporate world. For them it becomes more difficult because they are just out of their college, and it's a completely new world to them. So if you can give certain guidance to them, like how can they actually create that network with the senior leadership?
Yes, absolutely. So one of my first tips and advice that I would provide is to leverage your manager. So a lot of times your manager may have a better relationship or a connection with some of the senior leaders within a company. So rather than you reaching out to a senior leader on your own, which would be a cold introduction, they don't know you, you don't know them.
Hmm.
If your manager sets up the connection and now it's a warm introduction, now my manager can say, hey, this is Joe. He just started within the company. He's been here for X amount of time. He's working on these deliverables. He would love to pick your brain. Is it okay if he sets up some time in your calendar to
Hmm.
make it feel a little bit more comfortable? And I I feel that there's a big difference between a cold introduction versus a warm introduction.
Hmm.
And the more that you start to engage with senior leaders, and it could be 30 minutes, it could be an hour, it can be me personally, I love to do coffee chats. I'll be honest, I don't even drink coffee. I'll set up a coffee chat, and I don't know if the other person drinks coffee or not, but if they drink coffee, they can have coffee. If not, I'll drink water. But it's an opportunity to just sit and have a conversation, ask
True.
questions, make sure that you're able to speak to the senior leader about what what your passions are, what your goals are, what you're interested in, what you're working on, what you're striving for, and be open, be authentic. Talk about your goals in your career, but also talk about your personal life. People
Hmm.
want to get to know you as an individual. Make sure to ask them questions. Don't just sit in a meeting with a senior leader and talk about yourself for 30 minutes.
Hmm.
That can be off-putting. But if it's
Hmm.
a combination where you talk about yourself, but you're also asking questions, asking them about their career path, how did they get to where they are? How did they decide where they want to be? And the more that you have these interactions, whether it's over coffee, whether it's over lunch, uh, any of those different opportunities, the more comfortable you will get. You'll start to realize that there's nothing to be afraid of. This
Hmm.
isn't this isn't jumping off a cliff or doing anything dangerous that could put your life at risk. So if you have two or three coffee chats, lunches, you start to feel a little bit more comfortable. And rather than asking for a warm introduction from your manager, maybe you'll feel empowered to start reach out to people on your own and start to have conversations. So I would say take small steps where you can leverage the network and the connections that you have to build that pipeline with the senior leaders so you can have those conversations until you feel a little bit more comfortable where you can reach out to them on your own.
That's very well said, Michael. I really appreciate that. I believe this would provide a basic roadmap to the individuals who are just getting started in the corporate world, and they will be able to know about how things work out in the corporate industry, and that's really helpful, I believe. Going forward, Michael, what happens most of the time is when you are in a company and when you try to talk to people, sometimes those people are quite introvert, okay, because when you actually start to build a network horizontally, it becomes difficult to create that workspace within the individuals that they can talk to each other, okay. And when a new joinee, okay, whenever there is a company change, okay, there is a whole new different culture which a person has to face, and during that time it's really important that they build their network, okay, from the scratch. So how can you actually make other people talk to you, okay, when they are the ones who are introvert? You are trying to make a connection, you are trying to build a network, but there isn't much of a response.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I would say for one, I would speak to your hiring manager. I think especially if it's a brand new employee to a team, to a company, I think there should be some onus on the hiring manager to set up what I know as a launch plan. So most companies, the manager will provide a list of people that you should speak with when you onboard at the company. So that way you've already building up a network of 5 people, 10 people, and they've already reached out to these individuals before you even join
Hmm.
to get their blessing to connect with them so they can speak to you and help onboard you and make you feel comfortable with the culture, build your network. So I would say first and foremost, you should definitely reach out to your manager and see if they can set up those connections.
Hmm.
Um, Even as an introvert, I would say you have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable and put yourself out there in situations where you can build your network and meet with other people. So, as an example, I'm a big fan of employee resource groups.
Hmm.
So, most companies have a Black employee network, a Hispanic network, and an Asian network, or they'll have social groups. If you're interested in running, there may be a running club. If you're interested in
Hmm.
painting, there may be a painting club. So, even as an introvert, you should have some interest in
Hmm.
some of these groups, whether it's a depending on your background or depending on your interests. But you have to put yourself out there, join these groups, and that way you can start building relationships with people within the company. And even outside of these groups, you have to attend meetings for your job.
Hmm.
And when you go to meetings, that's an opportunity to meet people. If I
Hmm.
step into a meeting room and I see someone that I don't know, even if I may be an introvert, I'll take it upon myself to say, hey, how you doing? My name is Michael Morgan. This is my role. This is my function. And this way I can meet a new person, and potentially after the meeting, I could reach out to the individual and say,
Mm,
hey, I'd love to pick your brain a little bit further. Is it okay if we grab coffee? Is it okay if we grab lunch? Um, so I'd say one, as I said, you have to reach out to your manager. I do believe there's some onus on your manager to set up some introductions.
mhm,
Two, make sure to put yourself out there, whether that's the employee resource groups, the social clubs. That way you can meet different people at the company. And three, meetings is a great connector. As I said, in any role, you will not work on something by yourself. No one person can do everything on their own. You can be in a role, you may have to work across multiple functions such as finance, human resources, product management, program management, legal. So you're by circumstance, you have to be in meetings with other individuals, and that's a great way to start building relationships and connections.
mm. That's very well said, Michael. That's something I believe I should be doing. And you would have met me earlier. I would have built a lot of network, I believe. uh, Going ahead, now this was all about professional life, and I'll get back to professional life uh, if there would be a need. But I believe for a professional life, for an individual who is just starting the company, uh, starting to or just join the company, I would say. Uh, I believe this much of a thing would be enough, and rest, of course, they can read in your book. But I also want to, highlight the personal life over here. First, leveraging your network in the personal life as well. Uh, because you see that professional life is again different, where you have to put yourself out, and that's how you build connections. And sometimes I believe it is an automated process as well, that if not today, at least tomorrow you will be able to build network with the people around you at least. Okay, at least there would be 10 to 15 people around you that those people would be knowing you, and it would be a good network. But in personal life, it's altogether a different ball game. Okay, that's something which I would like to put, because I have been on many solo trips. Okay, I have been on many social gatherings. I have been on many award functions, and many more things. Now, most of the times, okay, where you have actually no one, you are alone in that particular social gathering, and still you want to go out and meet someone. Okay, and you are just having those butterflies in your stomach, where you know that you want to talk to that person, but you cannot, because you are completely nervous. You don't know what to talk about, and what could be the icebreakers as well sometimes. So during that time, it becomes really difficult to build that sort of network, I would say. So what are your opinions on that? How a person who is really nervous, okay, and he doesn't know what the icebreakers would be and how to actually start a talk, if you can say that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there, in my opinion, there are a lot of icebreakers that you can use. Um, but I'll say first and foremost, it's good to put yourself out there in those situations where you may go out by yourself to meet other people. I would say follow your passions, follow your hobbies. So, as an example, I like to work out.
Mm,
And when I go to the gym, I may just have a casual conversation with someone next to me. Maybe I'll notice their shirt. Maybe they have a shirt that has a sports team, and I'll say, "Hey, are you a fan of that team? Are you from that city? Are you from that area?" I'll ask if we can work out together, and by nature, in the middle of the workout, we may have a conversation, may hit it off, and things go a certain way. Or if you're into art, I know a lot of people like to go to galleries and do painting. If you see someone else that's painting next to you, you can make a comment about what they're painting, and give them kudos. Oh, that looks so good. How long have you been doing this before? What's your name? Where are you from? Those type of things to just initiate a conversation. There are a lot of clubs that you can join where even if you go to an event by yourself, a lot of these clubs try to build those relationships. So it could
Mm,
be a running club, it can be a knitting club, it could be a book club. So you may initially join by yourself, but a lot of those times they'll do the introduction for you. They
mm,
may introduce you and say, "Hey, this person is new to the club. Make sure you go out your way to introduce yourself to them." So that way it doesn't feel as awkward or forced where you have to initiate. When you're brand new to the club, someone will probably do the initiation for you so that you can start having those conversations with people. So I think there's little things that you can do. You can like notice and in my opinion, compliments are always a good way to open the
mm,
door for a conversation. As I
right.
said, compliment someone's outfit, compliment their hair, compliment their accessories. If you see someone at a bar, ask them, "Hey, what are you drinking? What do you recommend here?" If you see someone at a restaurant, "Hey, have you been to this place before? Do you recommend any dishes?"
Mm,
So I think that goes a long way, and then you can get into more personal questions, ask them their name, ask them where they're from, where they work, what their hobbies are, and that can kind of get the ball rolling. One of the things that I always find interesting when I meet someone new, I try to find a commonality. Maybe we've lived in the same cities before. Maybe we've went to the same schools. Maybe we worked at the same places. Maybe we have the same hobbies. But once you're able to build a connection and find that commonality, it makes the conversation so much easier, and then from there the ball really starts to get rolling. So that's why it's good to ask these questions to get to know them as an individual, and that way you can really start to build that the discussion and conversation.
Well, that's a wonderful thing which you said, and I believe I would like to put this out as well. Uh, I mean, listeners, what I would like to tell you is that a very similar thing I have written in the book Mastering Dialogue, a very nice story that is known as Brew of Courage. So this is a story about a guy who actually wants to approach this girl in a coffee shop, and somehow he just listens to this amazing guy Larry Wilson, who says the good news is that no one has ever died of embarrassment. Okay. So even if you go out there and talk to someone, the worst that could happen is they don't have time, or all they could say is, I don't want to talk to you. And that's fine, I believe. Uh, Sometimes you find great people, and sometimes it's fine if you don't find the people to talk to. But I believe in either ways, you can always go out and talk to them, and it could forge a beautiful relationship between you and the other person, I believe. Michael, going ahead, now this was all about approaching. Okay. Now comes the main part. Okay, because I'm really good at approaching, by the way. Okay, I can go to a person and approach them directly with a nice icebreaker, and my favorite icebreakers are basically about a book like, that's a great book you are reading. Do you mind if I have a look at it? And that's my favorite icebreaker as well, and it has worked every time. However, what the problem, and because we live in a city named Mumbai, okay, because Mumbai is a fast moving city, and I'm sure that the same is true for New York as well. Like those fast cities, you don't really have time to connect with people. Okay. So sometimes you build a good relation, you build a good network wherever you are going, whether personally or professionally, but then it becomes difficult to maintain that network, to maintain that relation. Okay, so for example, I have been to solo trip, and I have met this amazing people, amazing group of friends. Okay, I did have connections with them, and I did invited them on podcast, and we did had a great podcast together. And after that, there's just nothing. Okay, so now there is no actual talk. Okay, so whenever, let's say, sometimes I forget to send a hi, and even they don't send me a hi, or even they don't call up, even I don't call them. So, you know, creation of a network, I believe, is very simpler, but maintaining that is a bit difficult. What are your thoughts on that? How can one maintain a good network after building them, of course?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my biggest recommendations when it comes to maintaining relationships is to keep in contact. So to your point, I've spoken with a lot of people that can make a new contact, but they'll make a new contact, they'll add them on social media, and then they won't speak to them again. And in their minds, that person's a part of their network, but they may not have spoken to that person in 2 or 3 years. They had one interaction and never really followed up. So one of the things that I personally like to do is I'll text people, I'll call people, I try to speak to and I break people into different groups based off what how close our relationship is. But some people I may reach out to quarterly, some people I may reach out to semi-annually, some people I may reach out to annually, some people I speak to almost every week. But like these small gestures where you just reach out to someone and say, "Hey, I haven't spoken to you in a while. Just want to check on you. How have you been? How is your family? How is work going?" Like those are little conversations where you can just send a few text messages and you're still top of mind. You're maintaining that relationship. You're maintaining that network. If you identify something that you think could be beneficial to someone in your network, like you said, you met someone while traveling. So you could reach out and say, "Hey, I just found this great deal where you could travel to this country or this city and it's on a discount. I think you'd enjoy it." And you came to top of mind. And now you're engaging in conversation and you're giving them something of value. And now you're engaging in conversation, you're keeping that relationship going. Or if I meet someone at my company or meet someone within my industry and I find an article that I believe is beneficial to me, an article or a book, I could say, "Hey, I just read this article. I just read this book. I think it may be value added for you to take a look." And these little things can just help continue the relationship going. Um, I try to stay on top of people's birthdays. I try to stay on top of. I'll pay attention to LinkedIn. I'll notice when someone has a work service anniversary, if someone starts a new job, if they get a new certification, and rather than it's very easy on social media to just say, "Hey, congratulations on your new role," or "Congratulations on this new certification." But what I like to do is I like to leverage it so that we have a deeper conversation. So, "Hey, I just noticed you started a new job. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. I would love to catch up. Do you have 30 minutes to talk over the next week or two? Let me know if you have any free time." So that way it's not just me sending a one sentence blurb on social media. Now I'm getting this person on the phone and we're talking for 30 minutes. Or now we're going to meet somewhere for coffee or lunch or what have you. And that way I'm continuing to stay top of mind and continuing that communication constantly over time, as opposed to just a one-off and I haven't spoken to you in 2 years, 3 years. So I think that's important. One of the tips I also give a lot of people, try to find time where you have free time available where you can reach out to people. So as an example, at my previous job, it was a 2 hour commute to work for me, going to work on the train. So it's 1 hour to get there, 1 hour to get back. And the train is packed. I can't really do my job and respond to emails and work on reports or anything of that nature, but I use that time to network. That's when I would reach out to people, I would send them messages, I would try to catch up, I would maintain those connections, so that way I'm still speaking with them regularly. Same thing, I love to travel. Sometimes I travel for work, sometimes I travel for personal. I'm I like to get to the airport early. I get anxiety if I get to the airport too close to the flight, so I'll show up 2 hours early, and at that point, I have nothing but time. I'm waiting for my flight, and that's a good opportunity where I'll pull up my phone and I'll go through contacts, and I may call someone, I may text them, but finding these opportunities to reach out to people regularly, Like I
Mm.
said, it's up to you to define the cadence that you want to reach out to them. But I think it's important to just continue to reach out and find those opportunities to speak to them, whether it's through text, whether it's through phone. In my opinion, nothing beats in person. So whenever possible, try to meet with them in person and have those conversations and dialogue. But I mean, we are becoming a more virtual world and people are spread out and it's not always easy to meet in person. So that's when you can really leverage text and phone calls and Zoom calls and FaceTime. But you have to make the effort to constantly reach out, and that's how you maintain your network.
Wow, that's really wonderfully said, and I believe it adds a lot of values, especially in my life because I feel I was somewhere lacking in that. So thank you so much for doing that, and I'm pretty sure it adds a lot of values in the minds of the listeners as well who are trying to maintain their network. However, there is one last question, Michael, and that would be, uh, most of the times there is a person in your network and there there is a good chance that he or she might not want to talk to you. Okay, they have given their contact details or they have added you on their social media, but they somehow are avoiding you. Okay, so what would be the right time to, just say it's fine, I'm not going to talk because, the other person isn't interested? Or what can you do to make the other person feel interested? Or should it be the case in any ways? What are your opinions on that?
Yeah. So in my opinion, networking should be a two-way street. So if I'm reaching out to someone, whether that's through social media, whether it's through text, through phone calls, and they're not making the effort to respond back, I mean, at a certain point, I understand everyone is busy. People have their work careers, they have their personal lives. Some people have families. But if you've reached out to someone multiple times and they're just not being responsive, at a certain point, I would agree that maybe it doesn't make sense to reach out to that person anymore. Maybe they shouldn't be in your network. At that point, you've done everything within your power to maintain the relationship. And like I said, networking is a two-way street. They have to respond. And if they're not being responsive, I mean, you've tried. I would like focus on the people within your circle and your network that are being responsive,
Hmm.
um, and put your effort there, as opposed to putting effort and trying with someone who doesn't seem to appreciate what you're bringing to the table. So one of the things I always talk about with networking is it's giving to get. So you're always giving something, and you know, so you have to offer something of value, whether that's just being a support system, whether that's offering advice, whether it's offering, as I said, recommendations, articles, books. But like I said, if you've been reaching out to someone and trying to help them and trying to be there for them and they haven't reciprocated, at that point it makes sense for you to focus elsewhere.
That's wonderfully said, and I really appreciate. I mean, I was really thinking that it's better to actually let them go, and you said the exact same thing. And I believe that does make sense as well because if someone is not making the efforts which you are making, uh, at least at least lesser, but if there are zero efforts, then it is better to let them go and they shouldn't be on network. However, sometimes we are at the receiving end as well, so someone is trying to get to us. Okay, someone is trying to get connected with us, someone is trying to maintain that relationship with us. What are some of the things which might give to other person that this person is not interested in this network or relationship? So what are the things which shouldn't we be doing so that we don't give such a message to the other person that we are not interested to actually be in their network?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say the top thing, be responsive, be engaged. when someone reaches out to you, make sure to follow up with them. So that way, that's a good way for you to maintain your relationship with people. And then I would also say, as I stated before, networking is a two-way street. You have to give to get. So ask them questions. Hey, what can I do to help you? What do you need? What are you looking for? What are you aspiring for? Are you searching for a new job? Are you searching for a new skill? Or are you interested in new books? Do you do you want to maybe just go out socially and try a new restaurant or enjoy some hobbies? So that way you can understand what the other person is looking for, and you could provide that for them. And that way you can maintain the relationship. You can give them what they're looking for. And in return, you can have that person in your network if you ever need something in return. So I would say one, like I said, most important is just be responsive and be active and be there, engage in those conversations when people do reach out to you.
Right.
But secondly, have those conversations, get to really understand what they're looking for, and provide whatever you can to assist them in their endeavors.
That's wonderfully said. And those are some real great answers, Michael. And that has added a lot of value. I guarantee that it has added value in my life. And I hope listeners, yes, I'm talking to you. Uh, it, it, it has added values in your life as well. So make sure to give Michael over here a follow on LinkedIn. And with such great tips which he has given on this show, I'm sure it's really worth to follow him to get more out of him, to get more tips which he shares on his social media. And also you can send him a message uh, by saying that you have listened to him on Personality Development Podcast. With that being said, Michael, this would be my one last question. If people wants to search you on the social media or on the internet, how can they reach out to you?
Yes, absolutely. So I have my own website. My website is michaelvmorgan.com. I'm also on Instagram. On Instagram, it is michael.v.morgan. I'm on LinkedIn, Michael V. Morgan as well. So you can find me on any of those channels. If you want to reach out to me personally, my personal email is networking.michael.v.morgan@gmail.com. As I stated, I have the book, The Power of Networking, which is available on all platforms. It's on Amazon, it's on Audible, it's on Spotify. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, if anything I can help. As I said, I like to give back and help other people and help you achieve your goals and reach your dreams. So if there's anything that I can do to assist, feel free to reach out. Make sure to follow me, and I look forward to speaking with all of you soon.
Wonderfully said. Thank you so much, Michael, for doing that. And I'm pretty sure many people are going to come to you, especially because they would have a lot of questions for themselves as well. I'm pretty sure about it. So make sure, audience, to actually mention that you have listened to him on Personality Development Podcast, so that you will be the one you will be the first one to get his reply. Okay, so make sure to do that. However, thank you so much, Michael, for being on this show. Any lasting message which you would like to give to the listeners of the show?
Yes, absolutely. So I actually have some redemption codes for my audiobook on Spotify. So for the first 50 people that reach out to me and mention Personality Development Podcast, I will give you a free audiobook. So as I stated, I'd love to hear from you. Any way that I can help you, feel free to reach out. I have ton of advice, knowledge, tutelage. So I'm happy to share it with you. I'm happy to be on this podcast about personality development. I'd love to be back on this platform, and I'd love to hear from all of you in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing these amazing advices, and thank you for such kind words, and thank you for the kind gesture which you have done just now. So, audience, what are you waiting for? Go and message him now. Okay, thank you so much for listening to this entire episode. This is Aditya Mehta along with Michael Morgan signing off from this episode. See you in the next one. Till then, peace out.